So if you manually go to this location, C drive, you'll find a folder over here that is Java tutorials. Yeah. So this folder is empty. Basically, it got some metadata file. This is for Eclipse to understand. You need not to do anything with it. Once the Eclipse is opened, you're gonna get a welcome screen, right? Just close this screen, and this is your Eclipse. So here you'll be maintaining your project hierarchy, right? So whatever project you're going to maintain, the hierarchy for that project will be maintained in the Project Explorer. Here you're going to write some code, and here you're going to get the output of that code. Now, very first thing we're going to do is to create a new project. So since we are working on Java, Eclipse is used for many other languages as well, right? So since we are working on Java, I'll be creating a new Java project. So how to create a new project? I'll just right click over here. I'll go to new and then select the project. So as soon as I select the project, I'll get an option Java project. I'll click on this. I'll click on next and give some project name. So I'll say Java lecture 1 and click on finish. You can give any name to this project. So I'll just click on finish and click on yes. So you'll see the Java project has been created over here. If I expand it, you're gonna see a source folder over here, and you're gonna see the Java system library JRE files, jar files over here, right? So this JRE adds in automatically as soon as you create a new Java project, right? It basically contains all the Java libraries that you required when you're working on Java, right? Now this is a source folder. Now if we again go back to the actual location where this project is, you're gonna find this in this workspace, a Java lecture 1 has been created. If I open it, you'll find a source folder, a bin folder, right? The source folder is basically whatever code that we're gonna write. The .java file will be maintained at this location. And similarly to that Java file, a .class file will be maintained under the bin folder. So right now both folders are empty, right? You need not to worry about these folders, these things. These are basically used by Eclipse, right? The only thing you need to work on is the source folder. So whatever that you're going to create will be stored inside this source folder. Now, before we start writing Java code, we first need to understand the concept of classes and objects, right? So Java is purely based on the OOPS concept, right? And over here, if I open up the next lecture PPT, sorry, the PDF file, right? You'll see, we're going to see what a class is and what an object is, right? So Java class can be defined as a template or a blueprint which describes state behavior of its object. Now what does this mean? Let's take up a scenario. Let's say there is a car manufacturing company, right, that manufactures the car, right? Now every car you can see has like 4 tires, has a body, has 2 tail lights, right? So now the car design is based on some blueprint, right? And based on that blueprint, the cars are manufactured, right? So that blueprint, we're gonna call it as a class, right? So cars could be of many types. There could be different manufacturers. The tires could be of a different manufacturers, right? Some cars give more mileage, some cars give less mileage. So those are called as objects. So the designing of this car is based on some blueprint, and here we refer the blueprint as a car. and the cars that are being manufactured is the object that's been generated from that blueprint, right? So the manufactured cars are the actual objects, right? So in other words, we can say that a class is used to create objects. Without a class, there cannot be any objects, right? Now, let's take one more example. Let's say I have a form, right, which is basically a template. In that form, I have certain fields, right? Fields like name, roll number, address, date of birth, right? Now, I distribute these forms amongst various people, right? And what they do, they fill up these forms and they send it back to me. So when I was distributing that form, that was basically a template, right? That was a standard template, and when I got it back from everyone, right, by filling up all the information, so those become an object, right? So that is what we have said, that a class can be defined as a template and it is used to create object. So without a class, an object cannot be created. Now let's say I have a class over here that is tree, right? Now again I have some attribute height. I've given that attribute to this tree and I have defined the height of this tree as 2 meters. Same way I have created another instance of this class and here I've defined the attribute height as 5 meters. Same way I can have one more instance of this class, right, and I can define the height as 4 meters, right? So I can have n number of instances, or we can say n number of objects created from this class. So these will be the objects that are being created from this class, and this class will actually act as a blueprint. So the process of creating an object from a class is called as instantiation, and the object itself is called as an instance of this class. Now let's see how to create a class. So whenever we are creating a class, we have a keyword that is class, right? Now let's see, let's go to Eclipse and create a new class. How we going to create a new class? I'll just right click on the source folder. I'll say new and I click on this class, right? Now we get all these things over here. What is the package? What is the name? And what are all these things? So let's just not worried about all these things at the moment, right? I'll just give the class name as day1. You can give any name to this class, right? So I'll just click on finish, and as soon as I click on finish, you'll find a sample code over here. Public class day1, right? Basically a class is, you can just write it like this, class day1, and this is the open bracket and the closing bracket, right? So let's see again, class is a keyword, right? And this is the name that we have given to this class. And now this is, we can say this is the start of body, class body, and this is basically the end of the class body. Now let me increase the font size. So I'll go to help, Windows and preferences and go to journal, color fonts, basics, text font, and here I'm going to increase the text font. So I'll make it to 16. All right. So I think now it is more visible. All right. Now this is how we create a class. Now based on this class, we will gonna this is actually a blueprint, right? Based on this blueprint, we gonna create the object from this class, right? Now let's first understand what an object is. So before understanding what an object is and how it is created, we should first understand what is difference in instant and versus instance, right? People generally get confused on this, right? So instant is it is basically with respect to, if you're talking about with respect to time, so that is what we call as instant, and it has nothing to do with Java, right? It has nothing to do with objects, right? So objects are basically instance, right? Instance is nothing. It's like you are making a copy, or you can say clone. So when you are creating an instance of this class, it means that you are cloning that class, or you are creating creating a copy of this class, right? So this is what we have seen over here. Like when I was creating this tree, I've defined the height as 2 meters. So I was basically copying this tree and giving it the parameters as 2 meters, right? And same way I have created another clone of this tree and given this tree a height as 5 meters, right? So just I have done changes to that clone, right? So I've just cloned this class and I've done some changes, and I have given the height as 2 meters to the first one and 5 meters to the third one. Similarly, I can clone this class n number of times, and I can give different behaviors to the clone, and that is what we call object that is being formed from this class. And this process is called as instance of a class, right? Now let's see how the objects are created. We must understand what the objects are. Objects are nothing but the instance of a class, right? A single class can create any number of unique objects, right? So let's say I have a class student over here, and I have all these records, name and roll number, right? Let's say I give a name as Jenna and a roll number as 1, then an object is formed, right? Similarly, I give the name as John and I give the roll number as 2, another object will be formed. Similarly, I can create n number of objects from this class, and there is no limit in object creation. I can keep on creating objects from this class. So it means that had there been no concept of classes and objects, then we would have been writing code to do all these things separately for all these people, right? We need to write the same code for the first person, the same code for second person, using all these attributes, right? So with the help of this class and object concepts, it makes our life very easy, right? So that we can treat this class just as a template, and based on that template we can create as many objects as we want. So first of all, we're going to see how we're going to create these objects, right? So in order to run your code in Java, you need to have a main method. A main method is something like this: public static void main, right? This is a method. You need not to worry about what public is, what static is, what void is, right? We're going to cover all these things in these tutorials, right? So the main thing we need to know that in order to execute any code in Java, we need to have this main method. So let's see how we're going to create an object of this class, right? So I'll just rename the class. I don't give it day one. I'll just give it the name as test, right? And I'll save this. All right. So I'll give public test, public class test, right? And I'll rename this to test. So don't worry about it, what public is. I'm going to explain it to you later on, right? So how to create an object of this class. So I'll say test t equal to new test, right? This is how we're going to create an object of this class. Now, what is the object over here? What is the object over here? Many people get confused in this. People say most of the people say that this is an object. No, without this as well, I can create an object of this class. If I remove this, this is also an object of this class, right? I can write this n number of times. And n number of times, an object of the class will be created, right? Now, let's see over here. If you talk about objects, this new is the keyword. Whenever we say new, then a new object of this class is created, right? So each time when we say new, each time a new object of that class is created. So it means that if we want to see how many objects a class can create, so what I can do, I'll just remove all these from here. I'll just write a for loop. Don't worry about it, what the loop is, right? I'm going to explain you. Just see what I'm doing over here. So I'm actually writing infinite loop, right? And inside this, I am just creating the object of this class. And what I'll do, I'll simply print, I'll write system.out.println. This is how we're going to print in Java, and I'm going to print the numbers of times this loop is executed. So as soon as I run this, let's see, as soon as I run this, it will going to tell me how many times an object of class can be created. So when I run this, you can see it is going in 100,000 millions, right? Till the time my memory will gonna support, it will gonna create an object of this class, right? So there is no limit to it, right? This is a button through which we can terminate this program. So it can create an object n number of time of a single class. So we can clone this class n number of times. We can clone this template n number of times, right? So there is no limit up to how many objects you can create from this class. So now where these objects lives in a memory. So if we talk about where these objects exist in a memory, right? These basically exist inside Java heap, right? A heap is nothing but it's only a memory space taken by JVM, Java Virtual Machine, from the OS, right? So all objects are created in this heap itself, and whenever the JVM comes around a new keyword, it creates an object in that heap, right? And when there is no space in that heap, like if say you have created n number of objects and the space it's like out of the limit, then the Java Virtual Machine, the JVM, will gonna throw out of memory error, right? Now, what is this JVM and how you gonna install it? How will you make sure that JVM is installed on your machine or not? So, will you ever gonna install this JVM, right? You're never gonna install it, right? It will gonna come either, let's say, you're gonna install JDK, or you're gonna install JRE, right? So when you install JDK, it comes along with JRE. Now JDK contains the Java compiler, since in case you are a Java developer or you're writing a Java code, so you need this JDK, the Java compiler. Plus, once you download JDK, it comes along with JRE. Now this JRE comes with JVM and some library files, right? Now you might have seen on some website, if you're running something, I mean some website is running some special player, right? It wants you to install Java, right? In that case, it installs JRE on your machine. It does not install JDK. So JRE is wherever you want to execute the Java code, right? The Java program, you need this Java runtime environment, right? So once you download JDK, it comes along with compiler as well as the Java runtime environment. Now this is how we have seen how we create first object from a class, right? Now, garbage collection. Now, what is a garbage collection? It is basically a mechanism provided by JVM. Now, again, JVM is doing some work over here. It's actually cleaning out the heap. I mean, whenever, let's say, we create new objects, right? So, if any object does not have any reference variable attached to it, then JVM will gonna put that object inside the garbage collection, right? It will gonna clean out the heap. It will remove it from the heap. Now, what is this reference variable? Now, which reference variable we are talking about over here? So let's say over here I have written new test, right? Let me comment out this. So when I write test t equal to new test. Now, how Java reads it? This is basically like this is an assignment operator. So for the time being, what I'll do, I'll just remove this statement, right? Now this t is basically, we call it as a reference variable, right? Which refers to the object of this class. Now for the time being, I mean, just let me know whether it is referring to any object or not. Now let's say right now, if it is not referring to any object, then what should be there inside this variable? Let's say if I remove it from here and just paste it over here, right? And I'll write static, right? Now don't worry about what static is. I'm gonna explain it to you later on. So we'll just see what the value is there inside this reference variable. If it is not pointing to any object, if I just print this t, and if I run this, see, it is going to print null. So null does not mean zero, right? Null means it's nullified. There is no value inside it, right? So or you can say, let's say there are sometime let's say if a number 25 is divided by 0, so what is the output that you're going to get, right? Which is nullified, right? Infinite like number that you're going to get. So this is what we got from here. This is basically null, right? And what if I'll do, if I'll again take it from here, right? If I remove it from here again, and here I create an object of this test class, right? So what I'm doing, first the left hand side will be executed and then the right hand side will be executed. So what happens, I've created a reference variable for this class, and when the object of this class is created, the reference is pointed to the object of this class, right? Now when I run this, you can see this is actually printing the location where the object is being formed, right? This test is the class name, and this is some hash code of which tells the physical location of the object in the heap. All right. Now similarly, I can create one more object that is new test of this class, right? And I'll not point it to any reference, right? I'll not create any reference. I'll not assign any reference variable to it, right? So which will be eligible for garbage collection? This is the one, because this does not have any object reference pointing to it, right? So when we have created like when we have executed the loop and when we have created object from this class, so you have seen there were millions of objects that were created, right? So all of them were eligible for garbage collection, right? And JVM manages that garbage collection automatically, right? So we need not to like manually add them into the garbage collection. Java manages it automatically. Now similarly, I can also say t equal to null. Then this object will now be eligible for garbage collection. Now, if I'm like mentioning garbage collection over here, I'm not going to like you're not going to see anything over here, right? It will be like if this is eligible for garbage collection, then what JVM is doing, it's clearing out it out from the heap, right? So the memory that was allocated to this object will now be gone, right? Now, let's come to variable, right? What are Java variables and its type, right? So variables are nothing and just a namespace of a memory which stores the data, right? So there are basically two types of variables available: primitive variables and reference variables. And reference variables are those variables which stores only the address of an object. So reference variable, as in this is a reference variable. It can only store the reference of this object, right? Of a class object, right? I cannot say t equal to 1 2 3 and I can store this number inside it. I cannot say it like this. I cannot say test t1 equal to this, right? You cannot store an integer or any string inside it, right? I can say test t1 equal to t. See, it can only and only store a reference of the object of that class, right? So this is what a reference variable is, and it is also called as non-primitive variables. So before creating a reference variable, we have to specify which object of the class it is going to refer. And let's say I create a new class over here. I'll create a class with the name home. Right. Now over here, if I can write home h. So here I need to specify this reference belongs to which class, right? I cannot say home h equal to new test. This is for the time being it is not possible, right? With the current example, right? So whatever reference that we are pointing to a class should be referred to the object of that particular class only, right? When we gonna see some advanced concepts when we start working on inheritance and polymorphism, then we're gonna see how we can refer a class reference to some other class object, right? So at that point of time we're gonna see that. Now these are just the fundamentals of Java, right? These things cannot be come in a day, right? These things cannot be learned, right? You cannot learn all these things, right? It comes along with the practice. The more you practice, the more time you will gonna devote on like these concepts. The main thing is that you need to understand how these things work, right? So you need not to learn them. You just need to practice them, and it will gonna come like really soon. All right. So in this module, we're gonna take a look at this much only. In the next module, we're gonna see some primitive and non-primitive data type. Right. All right. So thanks a lot.